Welcome back to another fantastic edition of the show. Thank you for tuning in and rocking with His and Her Money. We've been doing this for a long time, but we never get tired of doing it because we never get tired of helping people just like you. And we appreciate your participation in this show. This is a show that y'all been hitting us up for, and we have refused to create it up until this very moment because, guys, we operate on integrity. So we're not just going to come and bring you some stuff just because it's trendy, unless we do our research, our investigation, and can find a trusted voice to help us learn a little bit better.
And we want to make sure that we start this out just like we talk about other financial topics. This is purely for entertainment purposes only. This is not financial advice telling you what to do, but you will be able to learn some information on today that so you can go ahead and make your own informed decision.
What are we talking about? We ain't even told them yet.
Yeah.
We're talking about cryptocurrency, right? On and on and on. We've got message after message after message. What do you think? Bitcoin or not to Bitcoin? And so we haven't answered it, but we're going to answer everything right here, right now, because we've been doing our research in the background for several months, almost a year probably, because we take, this work that we do very serious. And so we are going to dive into it. We have a special guest. His name is Dr. Hans. He is the creator of the Investing Tutor. He is super passionate about this topic. He is also super integral about this topic. And so that's why we reached out to him to bring him on the show. And he graciously accepted the invitation. And he's standing by to help us all learn about this topic a little bit better.
That's right. And we also have our His and Her Money Pro members in here live. If you guys have a question, feel free to go ahead and drop your questions in the comment section. We will make sure that we answer them or get them answered for you.
All right, so let's get this thing started. Hey, Dr. Hans, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited. I believe, this topic of Bitcoin cryptocurrency is such an important one for individual and people in our community. Often we're the ones who come late to incredible assets after they've experienced exponential growth. And we wonder, why there is that wealth gap. That is one of the reasons why. I understand there are other reasons why, the wealth gap exists, but often it's because of a lack of investing early.
Yeah, you bring up a very good point. I think a lot of it stems from, and I mean, maybe you can answer this as well too, fear, but also lack of knowledge. And that's why you do the work that you do, we do the work that we do to get the information out there to make sure that people are informed, especially our community are informed to make these decisions. Is that what you would agree with?
100%. Yes, I do.
So how in the world did you come about this? Because I'm gonna.
First, I think he needs to introduce himself a little bit.
Okay, you're probably right.
Him a little,
we know him, and so we just assumed that all y'all knew him. You're right, babe. Go ahead, do the thing.
Go ahead.
That's why you're such
Dr.
a great
Hans,
co-host.
and please introduce yourself to our audience.
Yes. So everyone, I'm Dr. Hans, the Investing Tutor. So born and raised in Ghana, West Africa, came to the US. I like to say, our family were an upper middle class family in Ghana. And we got to the US and we lost about 80% of our wealth because if you look at the currency conversion rate, going from Ghana cedi to US dollar, you lose 80% of your wealth. By the way, I realized this. If our family had our wealth in Bitcoin, one Bitcoin in Ghana is worth one Bitcoin in the US, and it's worth one Bitcoin anywhere on the planet. But we'll dive into that later. So then from Bronx, New York, that's where life started for me, was working minimum wage job. My mom wanted me to be a doctor. Most Ghanaian immigrants, if you're a guy, be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. If you're a lady, be a nurse. That's typically what you hear. So I pursued the path of pharmacy, graduated, went and did an MBA program. And when I was done, I just realized individuals in our community kept asking very basic questions about the topic of money. I never knew that in 2010, when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and that, led me down this path of reading over 400 books, that I would be the individual to begin sharing that information that I had accrued with people in my community. So 2016 on social media, you didn't really see a lot of people, really speaking to, immigrants, minorities about the topic of money. And I was, doing that consistently. So I know you had briefly asked about how I also got to know about cryptocurrency. So in 2017, having been following trends with regards to tech and specifically tech investors, I noticed that the individuals who made a lot of money with tech investments, they were all plowing a significant amount of money into cryptocurrencies. Prior to that time, I had ignored it and I said it was a scam. So I wouldn't pay attention to it. And after I noticed billions of dollars being poured in by these same tech investors who invested in like the Facebooks, the PayPals, the Amazons, I was like, hey, Hans, you have to take a second look. So I went looking, and what I discovered really blew me away. And I knew we're going to dive into that further.
Yeah. Similar for us. It's like when we first heard about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, we was like, that's this guys. Just
we didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't know enough, but it
just
seemed
like, ooh, this is different.
It seemed funny, right? And then when we started digging into the research and the history, I got to tell you, Dr. Hans, it sounded like a missing episode of The Matrix or something. The way that this thing got started, and a mystery person created it and then disappeared, and then all the ups and downs. But the fact of the matter is, it's a real thing that's not going away. It's clearly the future. And so we got to talk about it. So at a basic level, let's start rock bottom. What is cryptocurrency?
Yeah, essentially it's a digital asset that, is housed or stored on the internet. And for the average person, I don't think they realize this fact, which is that the internet has never really had a digital asset of value, right? I mean, we can keep our emails, we can keep, websites, but all of that is data and information. The invention or the creation of cryptocurrency for the first time allowed, the internet to be able to have something of value, no different from having like a physical real estate property or a bar of gold or whatever that humans find valuable, silver, stocks. So then it just essentially, to your point, adds a missing piece to the internet equation, which is, okay, how do we have a property or an asset in the digital realm that is valuable? And not only is it valuable in a particular country, city, but it's valuable globally. And once I understood that, I was like, whoa. So it's like we're entering a different phase of the internet where individuals using the internet can begin to accumulate assets that are worth something.
Legal & General America is a leader in low-cost, high-quality life insurance.
For nearly 70 years, Legal & General America has been providing financial protection to over 1.3 million families and businesses.
LGA makes understanding and applying for life insurance easy.
And agents are standing by to help you find the best coverage to fit your family's needs.
All you have to do is go to hisandhermoney.com/LGA to get a free quote. So talk about Bitcoin. Explain, because I think sometimes people hear Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and they think it's all in the same thing. So can you break down what Bitcoin is, how it actually got here?
Yeah, so cryptocurrency, essentially, if you're looking for a definition, right, it is a digital asset that pretty much is decentralized and it's protected by encryption. And the reason for that is so that, individuals cannot go in and duplicate that asset, right? So that's just a general kind of definition for cryptocurrency: a digital asset that's protected by encryption and is decentralized using the blockchain. Now, if individuals are wondering what is blockchain, I want you to imagine an Excel sheet or an Excel spreadsheet where, let's say I send something of value to his and her money. That transaction is going to be registered or is going to be documented on the blockchain. So on the Excel sheet. And the reason that is important is because that Excel sheet, which is the blockchain, all it's doing is keeping record of all transactions. This person sent this to this. And because everyone has access to that Excel sheet or blockchain, no one can make up transactions. Or if you send something, you cannot say, I didn't send it. Right? So that's the beauty of it. So now this invention has been created. It keeps track of the movement of assets from one person to another. Well, the first digital asset or the first cryptocurrency that was created was Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency, the first asset. And while the Satoshi Nakamoto was creating Bitcoin, he or she or they had to also create, the blockchain upon which the digital assets, which is Bitcoin, can move around. So he or they had to create the blockchain, which is the Excel sheet. And in doing so, they were also, able to create the asset. Now, there are tens of thousands of cryptocurrencies. Each individual each cryptocurrency trying to do something unique, right? There are cryptocurrencies that are faster. There are cryptocurrencies focused on memes, right? There are cryptocurrencies looking to be energy efficient, right? What Bitcoin is essentially a peer-to-peer cash payment system, which doesn't rely on an intermediary like a bank. If most people want to transact in the world, they have to use a debit card, or they have to, which then is processed through the bank, which then goes through the central bank of their country. If you wanted to wire money to someone abroad, first and foremost, make sure it's not more than $10,000. Otherwise, you're going to have to fill a lengthy paperwork to explain what you're doing, right? Meanwhile, on the cryptocurrency blockchain, anyone can decide to transact with anyone with an internet connection. So essentially, the PayPal that we use here in the US, or the Cash App that we use here in the US, imagine a system like that, but globally and without going through any third party.
And that's what you mean when you say decentralized, because some people are like, oh, what's that? What does that mean?
Decentralized means that it's not owned or controlled by an individual. So Bitcoin doesn't have a CEO, right? That's why the individual, and that's what separates Bitcoin from any and every cryptocurrency. That's why there are individuals who call themselves Bitcoin maximalists, meaning they believe Bitcoin is the only digital asset that they will own, because it's the only cryptocurrency that doesn't have a foundation. It doesn't have an organization. It doesn't have even a CEO or a founder. No one knows who created Bitcoin, but it's still around after 12 years, or give and take 11 years. Yeah. That's what makes it super unique.
Yeah.
What was the tipping point for you? Because you said at one point you're like, this is a scam. But then you kept digging and digging, and your eyes became open and illuminated. So for those who are on the fence, who kind of had the same thought that you once had about this whole cryptocurrency thing, about Bitcoin, what are we missing that will help us to realize that we need to actually be paying a lot of attention to this?
And I just want to add to that. I think a lot of people, the reason for the delay in either being all in is possibly because they're like, the government's going to shut this down. There's just no way that this is going to last this long. And the first Bitcoin was actually on the scene, was it 2009?
Yes.
Right? So, and it's like now 11 years later, and it's still here.
Yeah. So first and foremost, if the US government wanted to shut Bitcoin down, they would have shut it down already. And the second thing I'm going to say is this current administration is actually ramping up a tax department in the IRS to make money off of crypto. And they've put out a publication how over the next 10 years, they're going to make over $1 trillion taxing cryptocurrency. That is not the kind of thing the government works on if they are looking to ban it. So I just don't see that happening. And also banning cryptocurrency, or Bitcoin specifically, is equivalent to banning the internet. Because remember, at the beginning, I said Bitcoin or cryptocurrency is just a digital asset that is stored on the internet, right? I mean, today, actually, I was thinking about it. I was like, if the government didn't ban, why didn't the government ban tobacco? Clearly, there's health proof that, this is harmful for people, but they didn't ban it. They allowed individuals to make a decision. And that's what we do here in the US. We allow people to have the freedom of choice to pick and choose. What do you want to smoke or do you not want to smoke, right? Once there's an age limit, you can do whatever you want. Similar to crypto, the US government is not going to come in and say, hey, we're not going to let you buy it. It's going to be so strange for a democratic, country for just such a ban. It's not going to end well. And the interesting thing is, at the point where the government will realize that Bitcoin truly is money that pushes freedom, and I'll explain what that means shortly, at that point, it would have been adopted so much that the government can't do anything without inciting just, let's go back to 1933. When the government wanted to ban gold, the government didn't come to people and say, your gold is worthless, because they know better than that. They said, you know what, we will buy your gold. So I often say, hey, let's say Bitcoin is $1 million and the government wants it. I'll gladly hand it over for $1 million. Sure. I mean, I didn't buy it for $1 million, so you can take it for $1 million. You get it. But they're not going to say we're banning it and it's going to zero. It's going to be extremely hard, similar to what we saw in 1933, right? And I was going to say there's no difference between gold and Bitcoin, meaning that they are both assets. But there is a difference between gold and Bitcoin. We know that Bitcoin has 21 million coins that will ever be created. So it's the most scarce asset in existence.
Can you say that again? Because that's something that I really want you to dig deep on. Right now, they're printing cash, at will, right? Exactly. But Bitcoin, there's only 21 million, right?
That will ever be created.
That's it.
Yes. And I, often I sit down and I kind of just calculate things in my mind. I'm like, okay, let's imagine that only Americans can, own Bitcoin. Looking at our population, Bitcoin will be 6% of the US population. So think about it, like 6%, 21 million out of, let's say, give and take 330 million people. That's 6%. Well, the world is 7 billion or more than 7 billion people. So you think about that, you're like, wow, this asset is extremely scarce. I mean, if every millionaire wanted one Bitcoin, they can't even get it because there are 49 million millionaires and there's only 21 million Bitcoins. It's like once you begin to understand this and you kind of look at things from basic economics, there is something that has a fixed supply. 21 million of them. Mm-hmm. Over time, as more and more people want that thing, and majority of people aren't willing to sell, the value of that thing has to go up. It's just supply and demand. More demand, fixed supply, the price has to go up.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. As we record this, in terms of the population, only about 2% of the population know, understand, and are holding Bitcoin. And I'm talking about the global population, 2%.
That was related to the question I was going to ask, because on one hand, there's this scarcity. There's only going to be 21 million ever made. And you just gave a really gut punch of an analogy, right? Because what if every millionaire wanted one? I think the last thing I saw was there's 37 million millionaires. So
something I think he said.
So every millionaire couldn't even get one. So then my mind says, well, how the heck am I going to get one? If it's so scarce that only a small percent of the population in the whole world will be able to get their hands on this, how do I know it's not too late for me?
It's never too late. Just because it's scarce doesn't mean you won't get some. It just means the price increases astronomically. Do you get it? Because if it goes from right now, give and take 35,000 to 2 million, sure, you can get some, right? Because the price has increased exponentially. And also, most people don't know this. Fractions of Bitcoin are called Satoshis. So the founder or the creator of Bitcoin, and I should even say founder because we don't know if it's an individual group, right? But the creator of Bitcoin programmed Bitcoin in a way that 1 Bitcoin equals 100 million Satoshis. So 1 Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshis. So most individuals often say we should think about Bitcoin in terms of Satoshis. So for example, if a person wanted to be a Bitcoin millionaire, all they need is 1 million Satoshis. To have 1 million Satoshis, you need 0.01 of a Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin is 40,000, 0.01 times the price of that Bitcoin, which is 0.01 times 40,000, is $400. So if an individual just buys $400 worth of Bitcoin, they are essentially, in quote, a millionaire by Bitcoin standards because they have 1 million Satoshis. So I often share how my son, Princeton, is a Satoshi millionaire. So once individuals begin to understand that you don't need to own a full Bitcoin, I mean, if you can afford a full Bitcoin, by all means, but a person doesn't have to start with a full Bitcoin. When I started, I purchased, I think, $500 worth of Bitcoin in 2017, right? And ever since, I've been accumulating. And I honestly don't even look at the price, right? You have a scarce asset. I mean, 100 years from now, looking back, once we've gone from 2% of the population knowing about it to 50% to 70%, what is that going to do to price and demand? So for me, I just view it as, hey, if I had an opportunity to buy, whether it's a parking lot or a small piece of land, in Manhattan or Madrid in Spain, right? Or in Accra, Ghana, which is the city where I'm from back in West Africa, which right now that land is multiple millions of dollars. If humans can understand that a piece of property could be worth millions of dollars because you aren't making more of that specific piece of property, then I believe everyone should understand that, hey, 21 million Bitcoins, 7 billion people. If people want a piece, the price has to exponentially grow so that everyone can have or own a fraction of it, but it will be at a higher price.
Yeah, the key word that you're also saying is using is everyone. That's one of the things that I find very intriguing about Bitcoin cryptocurrency is giving everyone kind of has fair game. Like right now, you have countries where people don't even have a bank account, but they can purchase Bitcoin. Talk about that. Talk about the equal playing field that it gives us.
Oh my gosh, let me start by saying this, and I hope I come back to how anyone and everyone can access Bitcoin. But let me start by saying this. If a minority with bad credit was to go into a bank to go borrow money against, let's say, their house, which they own, right? The bank is going to look at them, probably laugh and say, excuse me, sir or ma'am, we're not giving you a dime because you have bad credit. We don't like, the fact is the moment you walked in, they looked at you and your skin color wasn't the color that they wanted. They're not even interested, much less you don't have perfect credit, right? They're not giving you a dime. Guess what? With Bitcoin, it doesn't matter whether Bitcoin doesn't care about your credit score. Bitcoin doesn't care about your employment history. If you log onto a financial application like a Coinbase or a Gemini or a BlockFi or Nexus, there are so many financial institutions. Eventually, Cash App is going to be one of them. they will lend you money against your Bitcoin. And they don't care about your credit score, your employment history, whether you have a job right now. They don't care. The only thing they care about is that you have Bitcoin. And the reason is because they understand that that asset, more of it is not going to be made. So it's going to hold and retain its value. At the very least, it's going to hold its value. But the complementary thing to it is if more people want it, then it's going to appreciate in value. So all of a sudden, imagine, going to, borrow money against your Bitcoin, which I'm not necessarily saying everyone should go borrow money against their Bitcoin. I'm just using that as an analogy. Let's say a person goes to borrow money against their Bitcoin, and their Bitcoin is, let's say, $50,000 per coin, and they're able to borrow $25,000. And it's lent to you at a 7% interest rate. And by the way, everyone gets the same interest rate. Whether you are white, black, whether you are the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, or you are, a boy living in a village, it doesn't matter. Everyone gets the exact same interest rate. It's unheard of. I mean, it makes me emotional, even, talking or thinking about that. So all of a sudden, it is forcing, and that's the beautiful thing about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is forcing the world to be more equitable, to be more fair. But at the same time, Bitcoin is not forcing itself on anyone. It's allowing people to choose to own it. That is why I believe that we have to educate individuals in our community so that we understand the opportunity that Bitcoin is bringing. So it's leveling the playing field. It's removing discrimination from the financial system, prejudice, racism, all of that. Also, to your point, it's allowing anyone to be able to plug into what I call the Bitcoin economy. So what's happening that most people don't realize is as people get to know about Bitcoin and they trade their currencies, no matter where they are, they can be in Europe, Australia, Japan, India, it doesn't matter. When they are trading their currencies for Bitcoin, what they are doing is they are increasing the Bitcoin economy because all of that money is moving into the Bitcoin economy so that people can transact in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. So now all of a sudden you are building this economy. Right now it's worth about 500 billion. At a certain point this year, Bitcoin was worth 1 trillion. Most developing countries, when they look at the US, the reason they want to come here is because we have a $20 trillion economy or GDP on a year-to-year basis. So they want to come and get their piece or their share. Well, people don't even need to move to the US. Just plug into the Bitcoin economy and it's growing. Right now it's 500 billion. At some point in the future, I believe it would be worth 10 trillion or 20 trillion, or possibly optimistically even 50 trillion. So all of a sudden, anyone, anywhere globally can just, if they have a product, a service, or something that they want to share with the world of value, they can just plug into this new economy and be able to get their share.
Man,
yeah.
Sold.
One of the things, another thing that was very intriguing to me was I heard that there's so many companies that are secretly buying Bitcoin.
On
Some
the
of the
low.
companies that we even patronize, like large corporations that are buying Bitcoin and you know nothing about it. And I'm like, oh, okay, if they're buying, they obviously know something that we need to also know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg posted a picture of his goat, 2 goats actually, about 2 months ago. And he was like, hey, everyone, meet Bitcoin. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, what? Okay, that is the biggest clue that I need.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's in the game.
Literally.
Wow.
Elon Musk in the game. Big time.
Elon Musk, yeah. Jack Dorsey. I mean, Elon Musk co-founded PayPal. This man literally built a payment network, right? Was part of the co-founders that built a payment network. If there is anyone who understands money or a system that is going to work, it's going to be Elon Musk. Right now, he is a little bit hesitant because his company is branded around renewable energy. And there's a lot of misinformation around how Bitcoin is using dirty energy and that Bitcoin is going to use up all the energy in the world, right? And I say there's just a lot of misinformation and just bad press, because why would anyone want something so incredible that is looking to disrupt the current discriminatory financial system? Why would anyone want it to succeed? Like the main, Wall Street players, they are, especially the banks, they are a bit hesitant. I mean, right now they are even plugging into Bitcoin, right? Visa and MasterCard, both CEOs already probably plugged into Bitcoin, and they are looking to roll it out to over 70 million individuals and merchants.
So the person listening is ready to plug in, because you've done a masterful job of giving the background and letting them know why they need to take advantage of such an historic opportunity. So what are the first couple steps that they need to do to get involved? Because there's many platforms out there that say you can buy crypto through us, but some platforms are better than others.
They're not all created equal. Right.
Yeah. First and foremost, I just want individuals to understand that, before, if they make the decision to buy Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, you're not coming in to speculate. You're not coming in to gamble. You're not coming in for short-term gains, right? This is generational wealth, right? The number of Satoshis that you buy, or the number of Bitcoins you buy, if you're a big baller, right? Think of it as, I'm going to hold this forever. My best friend and I, we came up with a very simple rule, and it's a great rule, because every so often when I am even thinking, hey, let me convert this cryptocurrency to this, I remember the rule. And the rule is simple. Rule number 1, never sell Bitcoin. It's just so simple. If you really need money, borrow against your Bitcoin. Or you can leave your Bitcoin alone and lend it out. So many individuals, and when I say lend it out, people are probably like, wait, what do you mean lend it out? The same way that an individual can rent out a rental property, right? Or a real estate property where they get money in terms of tenants, right? Coinbase will allow you to lend out or rent out your Bitcoin. So what that looks like in a financial world is a CD, so certificate of deposit. Whenever you give money and then you lock it up for a fixed period of time, and then you're gaining interest on that money. But CDs will pay, 1%, 2%. Once the world gets to understand and know that lending cryptocurrency or Bitcoin or Ethereum can enable a person get 7%, 8%, 10% interest on their US dollars or on their euros or pounds, it's going to be mind-blowing. Because why would anyone, right? Why would you hold money in a CD that's paying you 1%?
Not even that.
Or a high interest savings account, which is a very popular thing right now, high interest savings. Why would you hold money in a high interest savings that's paying you 2% when you can hold that exact same money? Let's not even talk Bitcoin. Let's not talk Ethereum. You can hold that same exact money in a US dollar cryptocurrency, so USDC, right? And you'll be paid 10% just for holding a stable currency. Once people get to understand that, who is going to want to buy a bond? Who's going to want to put money in a high interest savings account? Literally, your money is just there earning you 10%. So I just feel like there's a lot of change that is ahead of us. And going back to the question, so for those who want to plug in,
wait, you got to finish your rules, because I heard you say this before. So you got to finish your rules. Well, number 1, don't sell.
Absolutely. Never sell Bitcoin. Absolutely not. That's rule number 1. Number 2, never wait to buy more Bitcoin if you can afford it. Those are the 2 simple rules. Number 1, never sell Bitcoin. And number 2, never wait to buy more Bitcoin if you can afford it. And I'll say, these rules have served me, my best friend really well. In the future, let's say fast forward 5-10 years from now, some individuals who be, could be looking at individuals who bought crypto early. And for those who are listening, you might not know this, but when Bitcoin was created, it was less than 3 cents for a Bitcoin. Yeah, less than 3 cents.
And the first transaction was someone paid 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas.
Yeah, which was about, the pizza cost $40.
And those Bitcoins would be worth, well, how much was it now?
$340 million.
$1,000,000.
Yeah. That's why the rule is never sell Bitcoin.
Right.
Never sell.
Yep.
Yeah, never sell Bitcoin.
And it is generational wealth, legacy. You can literally pass it on to your children's children. And
there are financial institutions that will lend you money. If you really need money, they will lend you half of your crypto assets. And the reason they'll lend you half is historically, Bitcoin is volatile. So it can fluctuate anywhere between, 20, 30, 50%. But people should understand this. Bitcoin is an asset that's been growing at 200% per year for the past 11 years. 200%. 20 times the US stock market.
It's crazy.
So if you were to ask me, Hans, why should minorities take advantage of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency? Well, it's because we realize that there's a wealth gap. How are we going to close that gap? Well, we need an asset that is working 10 times as hard or 20 times as hard. That is how we close the gap. We don't close the gap by just following only the status quo of, 7 to 8 to 9%, which is okay. And I honestly believe as a foundation, we need that because we cannot take too much risk, right? But with the 1% or 5% or 10% of a person's investment fund that they want to allocate to something, that 1, 3, 5, or 10%, I believe, if it were me, I'd be putting it into kind of like a Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, one of our pro students actually asked that question: what percentage of income is recommended?
I'm sorry, we didn't talk about the platforms that you recommend to get started with.
Yes. And it also depends on risk tolerance. If a person doesn't like any risk, 1%, 3%. If a person is somewhat comfortable with risk, 5%. If a person is really optimistic and believes in a digital world, believes in cryptocurrency, that's where they can look at about 10 to 15, percent, give and take, right? In terms of the different platforms, Cash App is the simplest platform that most people use. So I like to start there. And Cash App actually has a digital wallet that allows you to be able to transfer your coins off and on to Cash App. So that's phenomenal. So Cash App, individuals in the US are also familiar with Coinbase, right? It even did the IPO. We heard Nas talk about Coinbase. Coinbase is a phenomenal company. Gemini is another company, right? Someone might ask, what about Robinhood? Robinhood has crypto. I hold some crypto on Robinhood, but Robinhood doesn't have a wallet yet. They've promised or they've talked about creating one, so eventually they will. And the reason that the wallet is important is because then you can move your crypto on and off of the wallet without changing it to dollars. Right now, if you wanted to move your crypto off of Robinhood, you have to sell it. That's why individuals prefer wallets. So you can move your coins. I like that term actually, your coins.
Move your coins.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now somebody's hearing, okay, wallet, and they're reaching for they like, wait a minute, I need to go buy another leather wallet for my crypto. I keep my crypto coins in my wallet with my dollars.
And is it an actual coin or? Yeah.
So we got several types of wallets out there. There's hot and cold. I mean, this thing gets deep. So help us, Dr. Hans. What type? We need a wallet that's hot. We need a wallet that's cold. A couple of different ones. What do we need?
Let me describe what they are and then just make it super simple, right? First and foremost, what most of the people listening need is, in my opinion, they need some cryptocurrency. That's all they need. But when you're going into hot or cold wallet, essentially a hot wallet has some kind of connection or direct connection to the internet, meaning you can access it from a digital device, right? So keeping it very simple. A cold wallet is one that is unplugged or not plugged to the internet, Meaning if you want to access it, you literally have to take the wallet and physically plug it into the internet. So it's detached or it's not connected to the internet. So those are the differences. And the reason some people prefer the cold wallet is that, well, there's no way to get access to it. But Coinbase, for example, even though Coinbase, I can get access to my cryptocurrencies online, Coinbase itself, it houses about 95 to 98% of its cryptocurrency holdings in a cold storage or in a cold wallet. Well, not necessarily a wallet, but in cold storage, meaning it's disconnected from being available live, right? And the reason I say for the average person listening who's a beginner, you don't want to complicate it. The reason I say this is the reason individuals in the crypto space say have a wallet is because of what happened in 1933. The government came in and confiscated gold. Bitcoin is an asset that a government cannot force and take it away from you if you self-custody it, meaning you have it in your own cold wallet. Government can't take it because they don't know your private keys, so they cannot unlock it. So let me throw in a hint here. So in a way, Bitcoin as a technology is forcing the world to be more peaceful, because a country cannot invade another country and say, I'm going after your Bitcoin. How are you going to get it? You're not going to get it unless you know the country's private keys, which someone can just memorize their private keys in their head. So there's no way to get it. So Bitcoin as a technology forces cooperation.
Nice.
But
so
yeah,
the OG in this crypto thing is Bitcoin. So we need to open our accounts. We need to be looking at Bitcoin because it's tested, time tested, battle tested, controversy tested, and it's still here. It has no CEO. It's super scarce. It's only going to be 21 million coins ever made. So we know we got to get on a Coinbase, we got to get on Cash App, or Gemini, one of these, to get our account set up and start dollar cost averaging. Because although it's right now today, it fluctuates, but as of right now, it's somewhere in the low $30,000 for one Bitcoin. But that doesn't mean I need that to buy, because you said we can buy it fractionally, so we can give what we can, invest what we can towards it. Now, Bitcoin. Are there others that we maybe need to keep an eye on as well in the crypto space?
Yeah, there are other cryptocurrencies as well. The second most popular cryptocurrency is called Ethereum. For individuals who are wondering what Ethereum is, the founder of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, he was a part of the Bitcoin ecosystem, and he wanted Bitcoin to do more than be just a payment network. He said, well, what can the network do other things? Can the network by itself allow? He wasn't even specific. He was like, why can't the network do any and everything? Right? So essentially, he wanted to create the Amazon store of crypto, or he wanted to create the iOS of crypto, where individuals can build or house their own apps on the Ethereum platform. But the beauty of the creation is that whenever a new cryptocurrency is built on Ethereum, they need Ethereum to run their applications. So then Ethereum is always getting a cut, right? In the real world, it's like, hey, Ethereum is standing at the door like, oh, you're building this app? Sure, good job. But hey, where's my cut, right? So that's what Ethereum is doing. So Ethereum is the second biggest cryptocurrency. But like I said, Bitcoin is the only decentralized currency. So there are no founders, no owners, right? So for Ethereum, there is that founder and there is an Ethereum foundation, right? And they constantly make changes or decide the changes they are going to make, through the foundation. And obviously they hear from their community as well. But as you can tell, Ethereum is a bit more centralized. Even though it's decentralized, it's a little bit more centralized than Bitcoin, right? But other than Ethereum, there are many others. There is Polkadot, there's Chainlink. The simplest way to put it is this. So individuals can go to this website. It is CoinMarketCap and coinmarketcap.com. And what it does is it lists the crypto assets from the most valuable to the least valuable. Typically, I'll say keep an eye on the top 10 crypto assets, right? Those are the most valuable crypto assets and the ones that, people have an eye on. And try and read about those different crypto assets as well.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Because someone asked thoughts and outlook on Dogecoin.
Yeah, so Dogecoin is a meme coin. The way that I like to think about it is this. People can say, oh, Doge isn't serious. But at the same time, TikTok isn't serious. What does TikTok provide to us? It provides us nothing, but TikTok is a multi-billion-dollar company, probably worth hundreds of billions, right? Eventually will. But it doesn't do anything for us. We just watch funny videos or random videos, but it's worth billions of dollars. It's the same as a coin, which is Doge. It was created as a joke, and many financial professionals, including myself, took it as a joke, and now the joke's on us. If individuals had placed all of their stimulus checks, and I'm not saying people would have done this, but if an individual placed all of their stimulus checks in last year, 2020, into Doge, they would have over $1 million, before the Doge correction. They would have had them over $1 million this year, right? That's why I said jokes on us.
Right.
Because it's grown exponentially. And so at the end of the day, people need to understand this. Basic economics works, whether something is a joke or not a joke. So if people are willing to trade hard-earned money, right, which is their monetary energy for something, and there are more people buying that thing than there are sellers, the price is going to go up. It doesn't matter whether it's a joke. It doesn't matter whether people don't like it. Once people are willing to buy it, the value will go up. That is why I am so optimistic about Bitcoin, because once people understand this is an asset that is not discriminatory, this is an asset that you can own globally, this is an asset that allows you to store your wealth, right? People are working so hard in countries that are depreciating their currencies at alarming rates. Ghana, for example, the currency loses anywhere between 15 to 25% of its value on a year-to-year basis. People don't even realize that's happening, right? In the US, it's 3%. So the average person in the US doesn't realize over 10 years, they've lost 30% of their purchasing power. They are just happy the value of their house is going up, but they don't realize that it also means that your purchasing power is going down. So once people realize that Bitcoin is an alternative that provides us a way to store our wealth, and it is a fixed supply, it just changes everything. And I believe once people are understanding this over the next decade, it's going to force the price to go up.
Now, are these other coins that you mentioned, you talked about Ethereum, Polkadot, Cardano, even Doge, do they have that same characteristic like Bitcoin, the fact that Bitcoin only has a certain amount that will ever be created? Or is Bitcoin the only one like that?
So there are over 10,000 cryptocurrencies. So I'm sure there's some out there that will, pretend to be like Bitcoin and say it's a fixed quantity. But Bitcoin is the only one with a fixed supply where we don't know the creator, right? The person is gone. And it's been around for 11, almost 12 years now. Doge does not have a fixed supply. Every year, about 5 billion more Doge would be placed in circulation. So every year, more people have to be buying Doge than selling Doge for it to maintain its value, right? So, but Elon Musk says Doge is the people's currency, meaning he believes more and more and more people will want it. If that's the case, and if people are transacting with it often, and everyone is buying it, but the thing too is that Doge is not going to be like Bitcoin, which can grow exponentially, like over, let's say it could be, because the truth is they could decide to change Doge, and all they need is a consensus, 50% or more of the miners in the network or the individual running, in quote, nodes on the network to agree to that change. But as of now, Doge doesn't have a fixed quantity. Ethereum didn't, but they've just upgraded it. And this July, what Ethereum is going to do is they are actually going to start, the term is burning some of their coins. So they are going to be destroying some of their coins. So then the Ethereum people joke that if Bitcoin is sound money, meaning that it has a fixed supply, then what do you call a currency that has, a reducing supply? And they said the term is ultrasound money.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So we need to be focused primarily, especially if we're brand new, on Bitcoin.
That's 100% where, in my opinion, everyone should start, mainly only with Bitcoin. And number two, once a person buys Bitcoin, the beauty of it is it's going to force you to educate yourself about it. You're going to be, whenever you hear Bitcoin, your ear is going to perk up and you're going to want to listen to what's going on. And so number two, read this book, The Bitcoin Standard. It's written by Saifedean Amos. It's a phenomenal book. It goes over, money and what Bitcoin is looking to do and everything.
Okay, we'll make sure we have the links in the description box and in the show notes. Now, what do you suggest? There are people that have, one of our pro students asked, what percentage of her income should she put in to Bitcoin? However, what percentage would you say if someone has an investing, maybe they want to invest $1,000 a month? Do you suggest that they put it all in Bitcoin, or do you suggest only 5-10% of that, put that into the Bitcoin? Because I've heard of some people that are literally taking all their money out of their accounts and put it entirely in Bitcoin.
Yeah, we've heard you say you're a little tempted too yourself, Dr. Hans.
100%. I mean, 100. I wish I had the courage. I honestly do. I really wish I could take everything, sell every stock I own, and put it into Bitcoin. But the truth of the matter is, man, we haven't built any wealth. We can't take crazy risks like others can. So we're trying to protect what we have while also building wealth. So I've managed to talk myself into, and this is not for, the people listening. It took me years to get to this point. But for me personally, I've managed to talk myself into, over the next couple of months, getting to 50-50 in terms of 50% into crypto, more into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then a few others, but mainly in Bitcoin. Right, 50% of my allocation of investments will be in crypto, and then the remaining 50% will be exposure to the stock market, and that includes index funds, ETFs, individual stocks. But for someone who is beginning, I started with 1 to 3% of my portfolio. And I didn't even have to do anything. That 1 to 3% grew by itself and became 10 to 15% because of the growth of crypto. Right? So most individuals, if you don't like too much risk, 1 to 3%, you would even notice any change. The volatility wouldn't bother you. But for individuals who are bold, but are still new to their space, I'd honestly say give and take 10%, right? And at least start there and then go do your research, go educate yourself. Maybe several years from now, you get to the point where I am and you'd say to yourself, hey, I just need more exposure to crypto. Or maybe several years from now, there will be clear government regulation, which will give more people confidence about crypto. The only difference is I would have been earlier prior to the regulation, which once again, I kind of give some hints, like the government already is setting up taxation policies around, this crypto asset, right? But at the end of the day, individuals should do what they are willing to be comfortable with. Like if I made the decision to put 50% into crypto, if Bitcoin completely went away, I will not regret it. That's the difference. I wouldn't, because I understand that, hey, I'm willing to take a chance with this crypto asset. So I completely am okay with if it went, which is extremely unlikely. Very, very, it's like saying, hey, can the internet be turned off across the globe tomorrow, right? Very unlikely. But if Bitcoin were to go straight to zero, would it bother me? No. The same way I found out about Bitcoin, I'm going to find out about the next digital asset. But the truth is, we're never even going to have that conversation
That's where
because
we're moving is digital assets. I even
100%.
heard that they said the government may also come out with a digital asset soon. So, what are your thoughts on China? I heard someone say that if you see China talking about it and they're cracking down on cryptocurrency, that means that we should run towards it. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, China banned Netflix, China banned Google. It's so fascinating. The thing about Bitcoin is you cannot control it, right? So that is proof of why China wants to ban it. You can't control Bitcoin. But the fascinating thing is that China hasn't actually banned its citizens from owning Bitcoin, which even if they did, once again, if someone has memorized their private keys in their head, how do you know they have Bitcoin? Right? That's the beauty of the technology. You can't take it. You literally cannot take it, right? So what do I think about China? I think China is looking to roll out the digital yuan, and they want the focus to be on that, right? And now there's a competing, in quote, global currency, which is Bitcoin, and they don't like that fact. But they're going to have to deal with it the same way that, the internet has proliferated. If you disconnect yourself from Bitcoin as it grows exponentially, it will reduce the value of your economy against other countries that are adopting Bitcoin. Right? There's so many facets to Bitcoin that many individuals and countries and corporations don't understand. Like Tesla has Bitcoin on its balance sheet. At a certain point, other companies will be forced to have Bitcoin on its balance sheet if they want to have money in their reserves that isn't losing value, right? So China is not really a bother to me. In actuality, eventually, once they realize that they need to be plugged into this ecosystem, they will, but they're going to have certain limitations for their citizens. Meanwhile, other countries that are plugging into this new digital economy and this new digital asset will continue to grow exponentially.
Now, I heard you mention your son and that he has ownership in Bitcoin. So we can actually get our children involved as well?
Yeah. So it's not that, I bought the digital asset in his name. It's in an account. So for example, PayPal now allows individuals to buy Bitcoin. So I just buy Bitcoin on PayPal. And in my mind, I know that that account is for my son, right? And I can include that kind of detail in like a will, right? So then that's the way that I think about it. But at the end of the day, honestly, all of my Bitcoin that I own is his.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
and when I say it's his, it's not really his,
Right.
because then there's going to be another generation that will be getting the interest off of the Bitcoin. And 500 years from now, when many of my generations don't have to work because they are just getting paid interest on their Bitcoin, they're going to look back and say, wow, our great grandfather bought a few Satoshis in 2017. And now look at us, right? So I just want others to be able to share that story with an asset that does not discriminate. We all have access to it. It is life-changing, and it's actually doing a lot of good.
Wow. You gave us everything we need to know to get started with investing in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency overall. If everybody wants to, and they should, want to keep up with you and your journey and your wisdom that you drop, how can they do so?
Yeah, I want to thank you both for having me. This has been phenomenal. I just don't want our community to be left behind, right? When you look at, the tech boom, right? We are the consumers of tech. We have the iPhones, we have all of the smartwatches and all of these things, but we weren't beneficiaries in terms of the investors of this technology. So with cryptocurrency, we can be the investors, right? So for individuals who want to connect with me, you can search me, The Investing Tutor, on Instagram, or my website, theinvestingtutor.com. I have like a free workshop that I have on the stock market or crypto markets, completely free. Individuals can check that out as well. And in all honesty, I answer all my DMs. So if individuals have more questions, which does not entail asking me, what should I buy? Because no, I can't tell you what to buy,
Right.
but more general question for educational purposes. I answer all of my DMs, just continuously looking to serve and share this information with our community.
That's awesome.
Man, we appreciate it. I think we all feel a little bit better because we got the investor tutor to tutor us on this topic. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share this fantastic knowledge with us today.
Yes, my absolute pleasure and honor. Thank you for having me.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Great.
I think we did the thing.
Yes.
Y'all been asking, and we brought you everything you needed to know to get started. So now the question is, what you going to do with the information? As Dr. Hans told us, this is a chance to do something historic, not just for us, but for the generations that are behind us. We have been taken advantage of. We have missed opportunities in the past, but this one is right in front of our face. The question is, what type of action will you take? We got links to everything that Dr. Hans mentioned in this episode in the show notes. If you're listening to the podcast, underneath the video in the description box, if you're watching this on YouTube. The ball's in your court, guys. Until next time, peace.
Bye, y'all.